So before this video starts, I just want to put a quick disclaimer out there. This is me after watching the episode, obviously, but this show and this episode specifically portrays domestic abuse in a very different light, obviously because of the narrative and the story that they're going for. They're showing Satoko be a manipulative person and convincing people she's actually being abused when she's not, in reality of the story itself. Last season we thought she was, but this episode we come to find out she's not. And I just want to say that this is obviously fictional, and stuff like domestic abuse and all that should definitely not be taken lightly. And you should definitely operate off the assumption that the person expressing that they're in that type of situation is telling the truth, and to look into it further. And that Satoko is definitely an exception to that rule. Again, this is anime, this is fiction, it's not real. But I just want to say that don't look at this episode and think, oh, this is how it happens in real life. No, this is obviously not what happens in real life. Things like this, things like domestic abuse actually do happen, and it does ruin people's lives, and it does traumatize them forever. So it's definitely something you should take seriously in the real world. But in this episode, you'll see how Satoko is completely just breaks. I'll let the episode speak for itself, and you'll see my reaction to it. But yeah. What's going on, guys? So this is gonna be Higurashi episode 8. As we continue on this series, we're seeing Satoko mess with everyone. We're seeing her recreate her reality as she wants it. But last episode we did get some foreshadowing that her plan might fail, because we're being reminded over and over again that she has to die after Rika. And the spiritual being, creature, witch, or whatever that she's in contact with tells her that if you die before Rika, then you're basically going to be sent into a reality where she doesn't even exist, and you're going to be stuck there basically. And although Satoko seems like she's going to be able to do whatever she wants, that may not be the case. So let's go. So we did find out that Satoko was potentially just making up everything about her uncle abusing her and stuff, pretty much convincing everyone that there was something more going on, because we finally get her perspective last episode. If that's the case, then that's pretty scummy. Oh, that's wild, bro. That's so wild. You guys remember in last season how after she moved in or whatever, she would always just use her uncle as an excuse to do stuff, to just leave. And maybe that's probably why she just created this scenario and just convinced everyone that it was true. Because bro, we had like at least a few episodes just trying to convince like the school board or the town council or something to look into Satoko's domestic issues. I remember that vividly. And to find out that she was just playing them all along is just, oh my god. And she's right there, and they didn't fucking hear her. Oh my god, is she really like, yo, she's always making this face like she's like just cried. So did she also give herself injuries? Dude, Satoko is nuts. And Rika has no idea that Satoko is like has gone insane already. This is so paradoxical, because as we know, like, and I've said this before, as Rika goes on to that school, as they graduate and she goes on to that school, that's when Satoko becomes crazy, and that causes her to be in contact with this the witch and go back in time and change everything. So it's kind of like a loop in a sense. It's like an overarching loop with a bunch of loops inside, you know what I mean? Dude, she's getting everything she wants. Oh, what the hell is she doing? That's so weird. Crazy. Absolute nuts. Dude, on one end, she's convincing everyone that she's getting beat by her uncle. And then on the other end, she's convincing her uncle that everyone in Hinamizawa is bullying her. So she's just pitting them against each other. She's just creating chaos just for chaos' sake. Imagine you just picked up this episode and you just started watching from this scene right here. You would think Satoko's like the nicest person ever, and she's just a good person, and she's forgiving, and that's just not the case. I would love to see like two different compilations, one with Satoko acting crazy and doing all the bad stuff, and then one where she's just nice and doing nice things, saying nice things, and just being a good person around her friends. Oh no. She's gonna she's gonna send him after. Ah, she's gonna send him after all of them. This is so bad. Oh my god, this is. Oh, and now the teacher's here. Is she gonna? And then he yells at her, right, or something? Oh my god, this is insane, dude. You guys are so. Last season, when this happened, our assumption and everybody's assumption who's watching was that he was just. Oh my, because we didn't see this right here. Oh, because we thought he was, just a bad guy, and he was trying to like shoo off the teacher because he didn't want her seeing like Satoko like with bruises or like see what he was doing. But in reality, it was Satoko as the mastermind behind this whole thing. Oh my god, my mind is breaking. My mind is literally breaking right now. And now the crazy part is, to them, she's gonna be saying I'm not being abused or anything, but it's true, but she's doing it on purpose so that all her friends and everything, when they find that out, they think, oh, she's just lying about it, because they're convinced that she's getting abused by her uncle. So they think that if she's telling the child welfare services that she's not, that she's just lying. This is five head shit right here. This is crazy five head shit right here. And this whole time, the child welfare services were right. They were right. And then remember she starts convulsing on the floor of the school. Even the witch is laughing. Remember, she starts convulsing on the floor. Oh my god. When she's thrusting herself into despair and being lavished with pity. Oh shit. Yes, that's exactly what she's doing. Look at this. Dude. She has become a witch. Yo. Ugh. Bro. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. I'm like livid. I'm shocked. I'm just broken. Is she actually acting, or is she like breaking from all the like the witch shit? And this witch is laughing. Oh my god. Bro. Dude, this is I can't. This show, what the. So that was episode 8 of Higurashi Sotsu, and dude, okay, so someone left a comment last week on my reaction that Satoko this whole time was pretty much convincing everyone that she was being abused by her uncle last season when she really wasn't. And yeah, we got introduction of that pretty much last episode when she convinced her uncle to move with her, and we saw a lot of scenes that we saw last season from her perspective this time, where she wasn't being abused, she was actually just convincing people she was and making it seem as if she was being affected and traumatized by it, just to pretty much bring on pity. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but essentially she was pitting her uncle against everyone else. So she was convincing her uncle that she was being bullied by her classmates and pretty much everyone in Hinamizawa, but she was convincing her friends and everyone else that her uncle was abusing her in her house. Now, that is the classic way of pitting two groups or characters or any sort of people against each other, is convincing them that they're enemies. So when the teacher comes over to see if Satoko is actually, being abused or what's going on with her, the uncle reacts in a very aggressive way because he's being told that the teacher is part of the problem and she's actually encouraging the bullying. So he reacts in a very aggressive tone, and the teacher, on the other hand, takes that aggressive tone as a symptom of the uncle being oppressive to Satoko and not wanting anyone to see what's going on. So that right there is a key clash between the two, and what pretty much starts off this story of getting child welfare services involved in all of this. So POVs that we don't see obviously are shown in this episode, like with the uncle, how he actually interacts with Satoko in the house versus what we thought he did last season. Because to be honest, last season when the child welfare services said that they would just keep an eye on Satoko and the family and not really do anything immediately, I was sussed out. I was like, that's not how you go about this. And in real life, that's not how you would go about it. But in this case, essentially they were right. Nothing was really happening with Satoko, and she was making them believe that something was. So just this episode, it makes me think of last episode a different light, because I'm starting to understand it more. And the witch said it herself. Satoko has become a witch, essentially. She's basically become someone who, because of all the loops she's gone through, because of all the trauma she's endured, she has become someone who can't operate unless she's pitting people against each other and getting them to pity her, and that's where she derives her happiness from. Now, one thing I'm not understanding necessarily is that little convulsion, that little seizure or episode she had at the end of this episode where she's on the floor that we saw last season too. We saw her eyes flicker from normal to like the demonic witch eyes, and I'm not sure if that whole scene was her acting or that was just a reaction to just going crazy because of everything she's been doing. And that when she was saying, "Forgive me, I don't want this, I hate this," was she talking about her uncle? Was she acting as if her uncle was doing stuff to her, or was she actually genuinely expressing that she hates all the stuff that she's going through with the witch and she just wants to be forgiven by the witch? And that's a very similar sentiment that Rika had actually last season. We saw it over and over again where she would just ask the witch to forgive her and all that. So not sure. I'm sure they're gonna clear it up next episode, but this anime has been a treat, honestly. It's very interesting because this is not something you see often. You don't really see anime that show you two sides of the same coin. Give you a season and then another season showing the completely other side of the coin and how things actually went down. So I really appreciate the narrative structure of this show for sure. I'm excited to see the rest of this show, and I'm glad I picked it up, honestly. For a guy not knowing anything about Higurashi, I don't think I'm too lost. I think I pretty much know what's going on. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought down below in the comments. Was your mind completely broken just like mine was this episode? I need some time to process all this and honestly maybe go back to some scenes from the previous season and look at it and realize that, man, I was being played all along, just like the people of Hinamizawa. As a viewer, you don't really realize that you could be getting played, because whenever you're watching an anime, most of the time as a viewer, you know more than the characters. Especially if it's like a mystery, you usually do know more than the characters. So when you have an anime that leads you on and makes you think that you know more than everyone, especially the main characters, and then it just completely flips it on its head after a whole season of thinking that you know what's going on, throws it in your face that you just don't know anything. I really like that. I like being played like that because it really shows that the anime did its job. The storytelling did its job. It convinced me that I knew what was going on when I really didn't. So I gotta give it up for Higurashi for doing that. So let me know what you guys thought down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave me a like. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Follow me on Twitter, links down in the description below, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.